water for my traditional mac and cheese recipe. I have 3 fan favorites, and today I am making the traditional one. It consists of only sharp cheddar cheese and nothing else. My other 2 would be my Velveeta, which is really creamy, and I don't eat Velveeta, but people really love that one, and I know it has a lot to do with the way that I make it. So this information is going to be on my blog. I'm not going to make the Velveeta one, but my most requested mac and cheese, which also will not be made today, is my pepper jack mac and cheese. And honestly, my traditional mac and cheese and my pepper jack mac and cheese are pretty much made the same. The only difference is the pepper jack on the inside. The outside of the pepper jack has cheddar on it as well. It's just that when you dig into it, you are in for a lovely, cheesy, spicy surprise. So in my water is nothing but sea salt and oil. So now I'm going to add 16 ounces of elbow macaroni, which is 2 cups. So this pot already has a strainer inside, as you can kind of see there. And so I just cook the macaroni in there, and then I pull it out and it's already strained, and then I'll rinse it. I had a handle to this, but one of my kids lost it while they were doing the dishes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stir that, because otherwise your macaroni will stick together. Like right now it's already trying to stick together. So I am just unsticking it, and I literally just poured it in here. So you just want to make sure you give that a quick stir. And then you can leave it alone after that. So now all of my pieces are single pieces. So now that my pasta has been cooking for some time, I'm going to give it another stir, because as it begins to expand and become soft, it tends to want to stick together. So what I'm going to do now is taste one noodle just to see whether or not it's cooked. And it is. So now I can take this off. So as you guys can see, my strainer is actually lifted off, so no part of the macaroni is touching the sink. However, as soon as I lifted it out, the water actually came out too. So now I'm going to give it a cold rinse. And I like to do it this way instead of just running the water through. I want to make sure that this cold water gets every piece of the pasta. Turn that down just a little bit. I'm moving it around, so I'm actually going to need 2 hands for this. So now all my pasta is rinsed. I'm going to shake out any excess water that might be actually hiding inside of the elbows. So now I have the pasta just sitting here. It's back in the bowl, of course, without the water. But see how nice and fluffy that is? It's not sticking together or anything like that. So my next step is going to be to melt my butter. I always melt the butter. I don't like the butter in there and you have to rely on it to melt itself. No, it has to be melted, and I'm going to whip my eggs and then add it all to the mixture, and I'll show you that in just a second. So this is 4 tablespoons of butter. And I always like to dice it because I do put it in the microwave, and when you put it in the microwave, it tends to explode if you don't dice it. So I'll start with 15 minutes, and then every 15 minutes, if it's not completely melted, I'll just shake it around a little bit and add another 15. I'm sorry, not 15 minutes, 15 seconds. So I have my butter exactly how I want it. It's not too hot. As you can see, I can still touch the glass, but it's melted, so that way it's going to spread exactly how I want it to. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pour that all around. Give me the creamiest better. Creamiest mac and cheese ever. So now I have 2 large eggs. I'm going to crack them and beat them and then add them to the mix. So here I have my 2 beaten eggs, and I'm going to go ahead and add these. And as you can see, I'm using the same measuring cup for everything. Okay, so now I'm going to add my milk. Typically I use milk for this recipe. However, I have some cream from a lot of Instant Pot recipes I've been making. So I'm going to try that. I've never tried the cream before. I'm going to say to you right now, use the milk. However, if I really like it with the cream, then I'll say use either or. So now I'm going to put in my 1.5 cups of cream using the same measuring cup. So I have now added salt and pepper. Some people don't like adding pepper to their macaroni. I do. If you don't like it, then don't add it. So what I like to do after that is I like to get in here and really mix everything together before I even put the cheese in. And I mean, give it a really good mix, almost like I'm mixing a cake or something like that. This is my secret. A lot of people just put everything in the pan and expect it to melt together. I literally will mix this until every single solitary piece of it. There's no cheese in this, but however, it looks as though I put a white cheese in. You just want to make sure every piece is completely covered. I hate when I go somewhere and people make dry macaroni. Half the time I won't even eat it. So now I have about 3 cups of cheese in here, and I'm going to mix that very, very well. So here we have this, and I actually use 2 hands because I typically will turn the bowl as I'm adding it. I always do that just to kind of keep the cheese in there. So now it's ready to be transferred to a pan, and since I am taking this out of the house, it will be a foil pan. So this is what it looks like in the pan. So what I'm going to do now is cover this with foil, and I'm going to bake it for 45 minutes to an hour. So now I have my oven on 350 degrees. It's been warming up for some time now, and my macaroni and cheese is covered, so we're going to go ahead and pop that in. Once that's done, we'll add more cheese, but we'll get to that step in just a moment. So this is what the mac and cheese is looking like right now. So the goal is to make sure that everything is fairly stable in there. Looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is add cheese on top. So here I have my mac and cheese. I like to make sure every nook and cranny has cheese. I don't like any on the edge because that's wasted cheese. So just go ahead and you spread that on, and then you put it back in the oven for about a good 15 to 20 minutes, however long you think it's going to take for all of this cheese on top to melt. So you'll have to eyeball that, but no less than 15 minutes. So this is the mac and cheese after coming out of the oven. What I like to do is sprinkle a little bit of parsley on there just to give it a look. The parsley does not add or take away from the flavor whatsoever, but I just kind of like the way that it looks. So here we are with the dried parsley on top. Any recipe that you come across that tells you to sprinkle dried parsley in the end is simply for aesthetics. It's absolutely for nothing more than aesthetics. So there we have that. Okay, you guys, so here's a look at the inside of that mac and cheese. My son has already had Look at that. Look at that. They've started without me. Cheese through every bite.